Today's Bible story comes from 1 Samuel chapter 16. In this chapter, we are introduced to a very important biblical character named David. God uses the prophet Samuel to find and anoint David as the future king of the Israelites, God's people. Our story opens up with Samuel the prophet. He sure looks sad, doesn't he? Well, the first king of Israel, a man named Saul, turned out to be very disobedient to God. Samuel was heartbroken because the people needed a king who loved the Lord. God asked Samuel, "How long will you grieve over Saul, since I have rejected him from being king over Israel? Take oil and go. I am sending you to a man named Jesse, because one of his sons will be the next king of Israel." Samuel obeyed God and went to Bethlehem, where Jesse and his sons lived. When he got there, he prepared to worship God through sacrifice and invited Jesse and his family to the special worship service. Samuel looked at Jesse's sons, all 7 who were present at the feast. They started coming forward, one at a time. Samuel looked at Eliab and thought, "Surely this is the guy." But God said, "No. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." After Eliab, Abinadab came through. God said, "No." Then came Shammah. God said, "No." Then 4 more of Jesse's sons came through, and God said no to all of them. Samuel was frustrated and asked Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen any of these. Are all of your sons here?" Jesse thought about it and then remembered, "Oh yeah, I have one more son. His name is David, I think. He is out with the sheep." Samuel said, "Bring him to me." Someone ran and found David with the sheep. Now David was a handsome young man with beautiful eyes, and they told him he better get to his father quickly. Something was happening back home. David got up and went to see his father. As soon as David came into the room with Samuel and Jesse, the Lord told Samuel, "This is the one." Samuel anointed David, and God demonstrated his approval by sending his spirit to be with David from that day on. This story helps us understand that God is always at work. Sometimes we think it should be done our way, but we eventually realize that God has the right and perfect plan, and everything will be done correctly when it follows God's plan. The story of David is a big story about big characters, and here we see God calling David into his service. And so Daniel, okay, it's just this last part when I started looking again. Daniel. We stuck in our head, God reminds us, okay.